Welcome to Strawberry Creek Lodge. My name is Maggie Heffernan. I am one of 3 residents.
You need to turn it louder. You gotta turn it louder. We can all go home.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Shall I start over?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Strawberry Creek Lodge. We're really glad that you've come. My name is Maggie Heffernan. I am one of 3 residents who today will be sharing with you how the lodge came to be a real community and some of the ways we residents have developed to have it be a place where there is an atmosphere of respect and belonging. We hope we can be helpful to you. Before we get started, I'd like to point out that the bathrooms are on this hallway. There are 2 of them right out here. We'd also like to ask you not to wander around the building. You're welcome to explore our wonderful back patio. If you want to clean your plates after we have a snack, there are trash bags, recycle bags up here. Okay? And now I'd like to introduce Betsy Morris, the person we are all thankful to for organizing this gathering. Betsy is a member of the Strawberry Creek Lodge Board of Trustees. She was nominated by Terry Taplin. She's also co-conveyor of the Gray Panthers and a leader and trainer in the co-housing movement. Let's give a hand to Betsy.
Thank you, Maggie. Maggie, Nancy, who's probably in the kitchen, Sandy, and Joan are all part of the fabulous planning team that made it possible for us to do this event here. So, Betsy Morris, I'm co-convener, the privilege for 6 years of East Bay Gray Panthers, or Gray Panthers of Berkeley, East Bay. My co-convener and the treasurer of our group are in the back at the welcome table. And we have a number of members, voting members, supporting members, and partners in the community here today, as well as everyone else. And we hope all of you are also partners and friends. And if you'd like to join, feel free. After the break, there'll be time to learn more. But really, this is about a celebration of, to me, a very important and needing to grow constituency, which is seniors and people with disabilities, which includes seniors, who are in need of affordable housing because the rent is too damn high and housing is too important for the market. And our federal policies have been wobbling back and forth between the market will take care of it and people will figure it out on their own to public financed housing that doesn't always have a heart, doesn't always come with the ability to make the important relationships that make getting older valuable, make life valuable. At least that's my take it. And I'm grateful to our members and board who are willing to support that view. We know a lot of things are about politics and organizing, but it's also about people. And one of them, very special person in my life, is my husband Raines, also on the board, who has carried this theme of aging in community for a number of years. So I'm going to turn it over to him to get us warmed up for the program to come. Thanks.
Thank you, Betsy. Thank you all. It's great to see many familiar faces. I'm not seeing in a while. Yes, okay, we'll eat the mic. That's the prescription. Yeah, as Betsy said, I have been involved starting the world from co-housing to senior co-housing to discovering this whole world of what we call aging in community. You may hear people talk about aging in place, and that's great if you're putting in grab bars or designing supports. But there's so much more that's possible when you know your neighbors, when you have the physical structure that supports it, and the social structure. I live just a couple blocks from here over at Berkeley Co-Housing, also known as Strawberry Commons Homeowners Association, legally. And our architects were just down at Strawberry Creek Park, around the corner from here. And Betsy and I are the new kids, only there 21 years of its 31-year community, but quite a few of our neighbors we've been learning from, both the 5-year-old that helps me mow the lawn and the 85-year-old neighbor, Alice, who's joined me on bike trips and internationally, and I found some whole new ways to learn about myself in the process of helping her and getting help. It's mutual relationship, and it's a real difference from institutions and where the relationships are with service providers. And so I've been a long fan of the Lodge and of other communities around town, and really hope to help people recognize and find out what is that secret sauce. How do we help each other? How can we go beyond our institutions, our buildings, into that level of relationship, care, and supportive community? And thank you for the opportunity. Should we call up Epo or pass the mic to? Okay, they're in the room.
So, the reason I had asked Rains is he was in the room during our planning sessions, and he drew my attention, not that I was oblivious to it, but to these fabulous, what are they, values, principles, goals?
Above the window.
So assuming that these were not forced on anyone here, I wonder if we could quickly read them off. If someone would just, from each table, would read off.
It's probably pass the mic real quickly for that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard. So, forgive me. Would one person just read these beautiful principles from Strawberry Creek Lodge? Dar? All right, it's me. I do try to share the mic occasionally. So, love, community, peace, friendship, joy, gratitude. I feel a lot of it today. Devotion, patience, compassion, kindness, honesty. Somebody shout out that one. Abundance, laughter, respect.
Integrity.
Thank you.
Faith, community.
Yes.
Acceptance. Be gentle with one another. Nurturing. Kindness. Tenderness.
All right. Thank you all. Woo. So now we have a wonderful set of speakers from our hosts. And we're starting, let me make sure, we're starting with Sandy Peters, who prepared a history of this place. I believe it's the oldest senior affordable housing in the city. And she'll tell us more about the history, and there's even a book that she prepared. But she'll give us a short highlights. Thank you. Come sit down when you're ready. Welcome.
I'm going to sit down because I hurt my back yesterday. And I definitely need to rest. Okay, so actually we had our 60th anniversary celebration several years ago, right after I moved in. And they needed someone to write the history, so I like to write, so I did that. There's copies available if anybody wants them. It's like 50 pages. So it's a really thorough history. What I'm going to give you today is just an oversight. So, actually, yeah, I think Strawberry Creek is, or was, one of the earliest senior communities in the nation, not just in this area. And the idea was conceived in 1956 at the Consumers Cooperative of Berkeley. Those of you who are longtime Berkeley residents will remember there used to be a co-op where Target is, down the street. That's where this idea came from the group of people there. Their vision was to secure housing for people 62 and up of modest means. At the time, there was no such thing as subsidized housing. And they wanted the housing to offer opportunities to engage in art, hobbies, and congenial company. So all the residents were expected to be active. So That was in 1956. In 1960, in those interim years, they had been doing a lot of fundraising, and they bought 1.9 acres of land, which is what Strawberry Lodge is now on. They purchased it in the fall of 1960, and they incorporated as Strawberry Creek Lodge Foundation, consisting of 12 volunteer board members. And they named the lodge after the creek that runs behind us, Strawberry Creek. So groundbreaking ceremonies were held in May of 1962, and construction began that July. Norris Goddess, who was an Oakland architect who also designed the Oakland Zoo and got an award for it, he designed our building. And what resulted was what we have now, which is 150 units. It's four-story buildings, and they're connected by passageways. So we have 112 studios, 8 units that are double studios for 1 or 2 people, and 31 bedroom units. So Mr. Goddess' design was really ahead of his time. One of the things he wanted to do was to blend the building into the neighborhood so it didn't look institutional. Other things of his design features in the apartment included electric wall sockets at waist level, plenty of natural light from large windows. So every apartment has one wall of windows. So there's plenty of light, and there's a feeling, and some of the apartments are small, so we need that sense of spaciousness. Apartments are also facing out rather than toward each other, and there's double the degree of sound and fireproof wall insulation. So the outdoor recreational area was designed to give a sense that things could happen anywhere. We have the central dining room, which is where we all are right now. We have garden plots, which are out to my right. And each floor has a community room and a laundry room. Originally, a parking garage was planned for the basement, but thankfully that was scrapped. And instead, we have storage and community rooms down there, like our art room, a music room, etc. And the parking is out front. So in October of '62, the board began taking applications for residents, and they moved in 1 year later. Most of the residents were retired professionals. They were in fairly good health, and they were between the ages of 62 and 95. And the first on-site meeting of the board was 1 year later, October of '63. Formal dedication was 1 month later in November. And that was just a little over 7 years from the time that the idea was conceived at the co-op. And so now there's some really unique features of the lodge that have persisted over the years, sometimes with a bit of struggle. The first is our Tenants Association. So it's a significant feature of life here, and some form of minutes recording our meetings go back to the very beginnings. Tenancy is the only requirement for a voice, and decision making is by majority rule. We meet monthly, and any tenant is free to offer proposals and/or issues of concern. We have a 10-point working agreements protocol that helps ensure a positive meeting. And there's some copies of that on the table over there. We also have an executive committee for the TA, And those positions, we have elections for those positions every fall. Then we have our front desk. It is truly unique. It was conceived to foster a spirit of living in community, and it does just that. It's staffed from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. by paid tenants, and it's a vital gathering point. It's a resource, it's a welcome and information station for all. And if you get bored or lonely, you can just come down to the desk and have a conversation. And so tenants have insisted over the years on keeping this front desk, even though it has been challenged by management trying to reconcile the budget. But each time there's been such vehement opposition that the tenants held sway, and we continue to have a staff desk. Also unique is our board. So in the early years, tenants were not consulted by the board. They actually were invited not to be involved. By the 80s, tenants were permitted to submit items to the board, and a delegate was able to attend, but without the ability to vote. Then in 2012, residents were given 2 voting seats on the board, and we now have 4 tenants on the board. We are currently looking for additional community board members. We want people, especially with a background in public health, finance, project management, building engineering, or contracting. So if you are interested or know of anyone who you think might be, please see me at some point before the end of this affair. And then we have committees. So over the years, we've had many different committees reflecting the interests of the people who live here. Currently, we have a liaison committee, which is, all of our committees is important, but this is particularly so because if we have an issue around maintenance or some other issue that our management company hasn't really addressed to our satisfaction, then we take it to our liaison representative who works with a SAHA staff person to resolve whatever the problem is. And it's been very effective. We also have a welcoming, a finance, a garden, an art room, a library, entertainment, and talent show committees. Those are ongoing. And then we have ad hoc committees as needed. So we recently had our annual yard sale. We had an ad hoc committee for that. And in the fall, we'll have an ad hoc election committee. 1 minute. Yeah, okay, good. So resident groups, in addition to formal committees, we have many resident-run groups. And Joan is going to be talking to you about them. We have a newsletter that's run by our residents. The first publication was February 1979. And our present one is run by the residents from top to bottom. We have a library that is now functional again. For a while it was neglected. Now it's functional. We have a garden, and anyone who wants a garden plot can have one. We usually share a plot with a neighbor, and sometimes we share our excess produce. The garden committee also organizes periodic work days throughout the year to tend to the places that the landscape committee doesn't get to. We used to have a friendly visitors program where we would respond to people in emergency, but now that, for lack of interest, we don't have that, but we do have a welcoming committee, and Maggie's going to talk about that with you. And the other program that we used to have that we don't is a meal program. We have this great kitchen, but it's not too functional at the moment. So now we get together on Tuesdays, those who want to, and we share dinner. And the Berkeley Food Network provides free distribution twice a month. So that is a very brief history, but if you want a longer digest, take one of those pamphlets.
We'll take questions afterwards, and comments come afterwards. And there'll be time to ask questions individually later. I'm sorry, Norma, I don't have the mic. We're hearing from 3 different communities, 3 different tenants associations, so. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Onwards.
We should do that, yeah.
We'll have questions and comments afterwards, including time to have small group discussion with some of the speakers. Anyway, we're giving a little extra time to the lodge because of their venerated example. And thank you. Maggie will now talk. Thanks.
Well, Sandy covered a lot of what we do here, but I'll just say we have a welcoming committee. And I'm the first person that initiates a welcoming. We want to set the tone for living here to each new resident when they move in, so they have some idea what the place is about, how to negotiate the practicalities, and what to do when there are problems, what the processes are when there are problems, and many of the options that they have while they're here. Okay, so I leave the following letter. I'll read it quickly. Dear so-and-so, I leave this hopefully on the day they move in, the day they get the key, and it says, welcome to the lodge. When you're ready and have time, one of us will be giving you a tour. I'm just another resident, but have volunteered to do this and very much look forward to helping you to have as good a life as possible, at least a good start. For now, I'm leaving you a copy of the roster with everyone's phone numbers on it, including management and maintenance. I've entered your name and phone number into my phone contact list so that if you call me, I'll know who's calling and I'll answer. Call or text me with any questions you might have. I'll be leaving you a lot more information in the days ahead, but I don't want to overwhelm you while you're moving in. If you do need a storage locker immediately, please let me know. And then I try to meet the person in the next few days, if possible. See how they're getting on. See if they need to know that there's a cart in the basement to help them get their stuff into the apartment. Whatever they might need that I can help them with. And eventually I leave them a much longer note. And Sandy has covered a lot of this, but it's practical stuff. And it's realistic, okay? It doesn't pretend that nothing ever goes wrong, but it shows the way you go about addressing things if they do go wrong. So I won't read this. I have made 30 copies of this, taking everyone's name off it, and they're on that counter there. And you can help yourself to one if it would help you serve as a template. Sandy mentioned currently our resident newsletter, and it tells what is going on at the lodge. It's stories and news and cartoons and opinion pieces, etc. And you can submit anything you'd like to that publication, and this tells you how to do that. It tells you all about the Tenants Association. It tells you what the town hall is about. Our staff, Saha staff, conducts a monthly town hall meeting, and it's very important because management addresses issues in the buildings and asks for our cooperation to make things work more smoothly, and then we ask questions and give feedback. Resident services announce activities they've planned for the month, and refreshments are served and birthdays are celebrated. Sandy has gone over many of the common spaces. The section on laundry rooms tells you specifically how much each thing costs in there, what you need to run the machines, what machines are available to you, etc. Activities are listed. The fact that we raise bees in our garden. We have a local beekeeper who does the main work with his assistants, but we share, bottle, and sell the honey, and it's wonderful. Activities are listed on the back of the currently is sent via email, but if you want to have a printed copy delivered to your apartment every month, there's someone you can call, and that's listed in here, and he will deliver that each month. She's told you about food distribution. Now, emergencies. Many of us have given permission for another resident to contact our family or to have our family contact a resident. SAHA isn't permitted to disclose this information, and sometimes emergencies happen when no staff is here. If you would like to be part of this sharing, the Tenants Association has a form which allows you to exchange the appropriate phone numbers. And you can call so-and-so if you want to be part of that. This has been so helpful. Sometimes somebody gets sick on the weekend and we don't have a way to get in touch with their families, so we're resolving that. We talk about power outages. We tell them about the red buttons in their rooms, where they go to. We try to take the mysteries out of moving in here. Don't get locked out of the building. This tells you how to not get locked out of the building.
1 minute, Maggie.
Okay. Maintenance, who to call. There's only one way to get maintenance here. Tells you how to do that. And if it doesn't work, we tell you to go to the liaison committee. We do talk about problems with another resident and what to do, what the process is. We even talk about bed bugs, how not to get them.
Yeah.
Storage lockers, parking. If you're expecting a package, you will receive a call from one of our desk people and come down and get that package right away, okay? And many other items. Anyway, that's what we do to try to make people feel at home. And we tell them that everyone is available here. Just stop anyone in the hall and they'll help you. Okay, thank you. And now Joan is going to talk about our many activities, or at least some of them.
Yeah, we're going to be brief, but basically it's wonderful to see those of you who I don't know yet, and those of you who I do know. I just want to tell you that this is a very special place, and for those of you who don't live here, I pray that if you don't live here someday, that you live in a place like this. I really feel that the level of compassion and caring that I've experienced living here has been really notable, considering that we've struggled. A lot of us have struggled in our lives, and not that everybody doesn't, but so in short, I think most of everything has been mentioned, except Mahjong. We have Mahjong classes, Tai Chi classes. We know about the garden plots now, and you can go and look at them outside. They're gorgeous. The flowers are beautiful, and the vegetables are yummy, and people eat healthy. There's basically, I appreciate a lot the art class,
that we have. We've had different kinds of meditation and study of different kind of spirituality and support groups of different kinds here that all have, for me, what I've been involved in has always been very nurturing and supportive. And I've learned more about myself and about my community. I feel very safe here. That's real important to me. I feel safe and I feel like, you know, I can come out when I want to be with people, and I can be inside by myself when I want to be by myself. And basically, there's always, you know, here's my friend, the minister, the reverend, calls me Smiley. And, you know, it's so cool. I see him wherever I see him. Maybe he says, "Hi, Smiley," you know. And I think stuff like that happens for I can't speak for everybody. But there's a lot of affection, and so I'm not sure. We're going to have breakout groups, and I'm going to do one if anybody's interested, where we can talk about the process of how you might start up some of these groups, or if you're interested in checking out our meditation group, we've got one here on Mondays for Thich Nhat Hanh. It's free. It's not him, but one of his teachers, and it's a really wonderful group, so you're welcome to come to that. So I think for now, that's enough.
Thank you, Jen.
Actually, thank you, all of you. I'm also just want to note that there are some people here, including Ann Squires, who spent her earliest years as an intern with Gray Panthers and created what you now know as Lifelong Medical. And she is the just retired chair of the Board of Trustees, who I think was responsible for reclaiming tenant power in this building. And tenant vision for good. You know, it's not just, it's to restore the kitchen and other plots and plans that I feel really great about being part of the Board of Trustees. And I thank Ann and all the other members, Sandy, I'll leave it at that, who are members as well. Please, we'll have, yeah.
Who are you talking about?
Ann, right here.
Ann Squires.
Right there.
So we're happy to have questions, and maybe Ann will want to host a table talk. We don't know yet. But thank you. Thank you. And I do want to say, if you're hard of hearing, if it's any help, please come up and sit closer up here. We'll make some space for you. So we have two more communities, and I call them that, even if maybe not everyone there always calls it that, but the second oldest senior community, as far as I know, in Berkeley, is Harriet Tubman Terrace. And that is just as Strawberry Creek Lodge was created with passion by socialists in the cooperatives movement, and especially Finns, who really brought that movement, working class Finns, brought it to Berkeley, in my opinion. We now have a community that was started, and I hope you'll tell us more about it, by singers and musicians, and over in closer to South Berkeley, we have Dar Oyamsela, who is both, and you'll correct me, but who is both the president of the Tenants Association at Harriet Tubman Terrace, and I know he's been a singer, probably a dancer in his life, and a musician, but he's also just started, he's helped Harriet Tubman enormously get visibility and help when needed for tenants, but he's also the founding executive director of the Berkeley chapter of the United for Human Rights, which advances the UN Sustainable Development Goals and housing as a human right. So I am a fan, and I'm really happy to have Dar speak with us now about his experiences, Harriet Tubman Terrace. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Harriet Tubman Terrace was started in 1979
by the American Music Association, which was a gospel group, mostly black performers, and they put together a whole thing and started Harriet Tubman and had it built. They made sure that we were all electric, which was something very unheard of back in 1979. Which now, you know, Berkeley is against any gas because gas is a problem. I don't know where to start. There's so much to say. One of the things she really wanted me to talk about today was how we got our tenants union. And what happens is for the last 15, 20 years or so, we've been having meetings, and even before that, that's how long I've been at Harriet Tubman Terrace for 26 years. But we had a tenant council before then. Barry Gardner was very instrumental in getting it going and keeping it going until he made his transition. And then afterwards we were in a little turmoil. And sooner or later I wound up being president, and I've been president ever since. We have many, many challenges at Harriet Tubman Terrace. Housing, as you know, in Berkeley is number one. And the prices in Berkeley have changed so much since 79 to 99, not including what's happened since 2000. But we are now what's called living in the Adeline Corridor. Berkeley, the city itself, and the BART have real big plans for that whole area in South Berkeley. And because of that, they're, you know, not really wanting to hear what the people have to say. And we know about what that happens. So we've been organizing, and then also another group came along called the Friends of Adeline. The Friends of Adeline are a bunch of lawyers and community people who know that that corridor needs to be supported by the people who live there. A lot of people know that a lot of people who were living in Berkeley, and a lot of people everywhere in the United States from the 50s through the 90s, because of freeways, eminent domain, and whatever the cities wanted to do, they moved communities out that had power, got rid of them, and now they're marginal. They always said those people could move back into those houses. That didn't happen. In Berkeley, for instance, I heard some statistics last week. There were 32% black people in Berkeley in the 60s and earlier. Now there's 7%. A lot of things have happened as far as change. Gentrification is the real big problem. We got monies from other places coming in to take over, and they've done that very successfully. She wanted me to mention our motto. We have monthly meetings. The tenant council meets monthly, and our motto is, "We are in our forever homes. Let us make the best of these days. Be courteous to each other. Be kind and respect each other's space and property. Also, let's clean up after ourselves." And that kind of keeps us going, because our units, we have 91 units in our building. It's a 6-story on one side and a 5-story on the other. And out of those, we have 90 rentable units because they've given one now to the manager. Years ago, and for years, the the largest apartment was for the maintenance staff because they were on call after hours and could help us. So with changes in the managerial staff and then owners, we found that we've lost a lot. And it's really sad because they don't respect the tenants half as much as they respect property. One of the things I can tell you is because I've been here through 2 remodelings. There was one in 2014 and one just 2 to 3 years ago. And it's really sad because when they need a security guard to protect their property, they send one in. When we ask for security guards because people are running in, they're climbing trees, they're getting into the laundry room and spending the night or doing all kinds of things that have nothing to do with us.
Amen.
We're told that, oh, they can't afford it.
Wow.
And that's really sad because let them bring in 3 or 4 new pieces of equipment that they need to watch, and they'll get security guards to watch that property, and there won't be any mention of money. The other thing I'm part of is the United for Human Rights. That's from Eleanor Roosevelt during 1940s, right after World War II. She and a few others helped with the United Nations being started in San Francisco. And one of the other things they found out that people aren't really benefiting from everything. So they came up with 30 articles of human rights that all people around the world deserve. And we have meetings once a month, once for the Tenant Council, which is the 4th Thursday in the month, and on the 3rd Tuesday in the month, we have United for Human Rights. Everybody's eligible to come to our meetings. They're open meetings, and we'd love to have you.
The next one's tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow we have the United for Human Rights meeting, and we'll be dealing with Article 25 of the United Human Rights, and I'm going to read that to us.
Charter.
This is really necessary in Berkeley. Article 25. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate to the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of employment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or lack of livelihood, or circumstances beyond his or her control. There's a second part of that. This is wonderful for Berkeley, but not necessarily in senior buildings. Motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, should enjoy the same social protection. And that's very important, especially in the United States. Yes.
So, pardon me if you've already answered this. Is Harriet Tubman a Saha building?
No, it is not.
Who manages it?
It is, we are a HUD building.
Oh, okay.
And HUD does not come to our help. Oh, no. I went to HUD about 8 years ago to find out they never wanted to talk to us. And once they saw me one time, they blocked me from ever coming back, calling, or anything else.
You had mentioned starting and joining the Berkeley.
You teased us, or me, by talking about starting and joining the union, the Berkeley Tenants Union, which is not your tenant council, it's a bigger.
Right.
Tell me, can you just say, and then we gotta wrap up if
Sure.
possible, why did you decide to unionize out into the Berkeley Tenant Union?
One of the things we all voted for, hopefully, in the last election was Measure BB.
Yeah.
That was the right to organize tenants, because the tenant union in Berkeley has power, but they didn't have the guts behind them and the people behind them to form tenant unions on different sites. What it did was, because we were a HUD building and had no support, we were able to, quote, unionize. And to become a union, what you have to do is really simple in Berkeley. Call Avery Arbaugh or somebody on the tenant union, and they will tell you that if you can get 51% of the people in the building to sign that they want a union and want to become one, then that can happen. And once that's been taken place, then you can also become a charter. And with the charter in Berkeley, I've forgotten exactly. Oh, you can get a number in the union, just like AFL-CIO, you can have a number. And so that really protects you. Also, one of the reasons to do this is once you get a union, if your management, if you ask them to meet with you and they don't meet with you, then you can go to the city. The city will definitely make sure that you have at least 4 meetings a year. Every quarter you can have a meeting, even if the management did not want to do that, or the owners, because our owners and management change quite a bit, and they're always, quote, not necessarily for the tenants.
Thank you, Dara. And I will say our next set of speakers are from Redwood Gardens. And I know that you might have started, I thought you started in the 80s, but maybe it was 79, that the city of Berkeley, Gray Panthers were included, fought to create senior affordable housing at what was then the School for the Deaf, and then became part of the university. You'll talk about that, maybe, if that's on your radar. But they are owned by the same out-of-state enterprise that Harriet Tubman. And when he says HUD, what it means is they, until Measure BB, their 2 buildings and communities were not under any oversight by the city of Berkeley, the Housing Authority, or the Rent Board. And that is changing and can change. And I hope you'll support that. And well, we step by step, and these are the folks leading. So I'm turning it over now to Stefan, who is a former president of Strawberry Creek Tenants Association. Do I have that right? And also the former president, just recently stepped down, from Redwood Gardens. We also have Linda Wadley, who is the current, if I understand right, chair. I'm sorry, the titles change. Responsibilities don't. Linda Wadley is the current chair of the Redwood Gardens, another large and venerated senior affordable housing community here. So who's speaking first? Did you? All right, thank you.
And I will tell you at 5 minutes, or a little before 5 minutes. And if you have more, we'll make it's 10 minutes for the 2 of
Would
you.
we not have a private conversation?
I will. Maybe he can say a few words.
Okay, I'm Stefan, S-T-E-F-E-N, and I guess I'm kind of the bridge between Strawberry Creek Lodge and Redwood Gardens. Just to make from a personal viewpoint, I used to live on Derby Street in the early 70s, and I was very aware of the California State School for the Blind and the Deaf, which is now Clark campus. And I heard probably in 1979 or somewhere there that there was going to be a senior housing built there. And I said, I'm going to go live there when I grow up. And so when it came time for me to get into subsidized housing,
It's too soft. It's hard
okay,
to
I'll
hear.
hold this closer. Can you hear me better now?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, come up close. So when, so I had moved away from that area. When it came time for me to go into subsidized housing, I kind of forgot about this senior housing that they built up at the school for the deaf and blind. But everyone said, oh, go apply here. And so I got in at age 62. So I was at Strawberry Creek Lodge for 5 years, was part of the officers. I was on the tenant association and was president of the tenant association my last year here. And all of a sudden I got the chance to move to Redwood Gardens is where I wanted to move to start with. So Redwood Gardens is 169 units, 3 floors with, I think, 5 buildings. We have also bridgeways between our buildings. I don't know the exact history of the tenant association. I don't know when that was first formed, probably during the 80s. Redwood Gardens opened in 1983. And so I'm just speaking off the cuff here because I did not have time to prepare for this. Redwood Gardens is all Section 8. If you are accepted into Redwood Gardens, you will get Section 8. You pay 1/3 of your income.
That's good.
All this may change. But the Tenants Association, I was not going to participate in the Tenant Association up there, but I couldn't help but get involved and became chairperson with a couple of other people for 2-3 years. I moved from here after 5 years. 2015, end of 2015, I moved to Redwood Gardens. There was an older crowd at Redwood Gardens when I first went there, and they were movers and shakers. They were very politically active people. Eleanor Walden and Gary Hicks, Avram Bouyer, they've all now passed, and they have passed the baton on to me and Linda and others. And we have really built up our tenant association. Linda has been very instrumental in that.
Importance of the national organization.
Yes. Since I was chairperson at Redwood Gardens, and I'd heard about it here too, but I got interested in the National Alliance of HUD Tenants. So it's a tenant organization, but it's an organization of representatives from all the tenant associations all over the country. And it has been very effective and has really helped in supporting tenants' rights, resolving problems tenants have with their management, their owners. Yes, our building is owned by the same corporation, actually 2 different corporations. One is nonprofit and the other is for-profit.
Exactly.
And they're all back in Maryland and DC, you know. But they did come out here numerous times when they first bought the property. And Harriet Tubman still has the management, I believe, that we originally had.
Got rid of.
Yeah, and we got rid of them. FPI, and they're around the country, but some of their California office, I think, is Vacaville.
Thousands and thousands of units.
Yeah. So we were able to get rid of them. It's another long story, that one.
Yes.
But so far, that hasn't happened at Harriet Tubman. So so I got involved in the National Alliance of HUD Tenants, and during the past, since 2022, there was a change in executive director with the National Alliance of HUD Tenants, and this new executive director sort of ran off with the organization, and so it's been greatly weakened. And there's a group of us that were elected to be on the board of directors of the National Alliance of HUD Tenants. And we have managed to get a hold of the bank account that this person ran off with, and the organization, and trying to start to build it back up again. But in the meantime, there's been another group that Michael Kane, who's in Boston, he was one of the founders of the National Alliance of HUD Tenants. And since he was released from the National Alliance of HUD Tenants, he has formed another group which is becoming very effective, and it's called Lofty, which is Leaders and Organizers for Tenant Empowerment. So this is where the effective body is now as far as the National Organization for Tenants' Rights. And he's hoping that there will be some group from Bay Area that will be able to be a part of that organization. Tenant organizations are not part of it. It's community organizations. And it's my hopes here that something might come out of this meeting, that we can form a Berkeley Low-Income Housing Tenants Union, HUD Tenants Union.
Sweet.
So I'll let Linda fill in everything I forgot.
And you'll be around for questions afterwards.
Yes, hopefully.
Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for getting through this and sticking with it. Yeah, I moved into Redwood Gardens, my first subsidized HUD housing, project-based HUD housing. I had been teaching and renting in Berkeley and spending a fortune. So I was happy to get in there. I just made it because I was still working as a teacher, part-time at least. So in terms of some of the questions that Betsy, I'm grateful for some ideas that she gave me to talk about. So I have a few notes. So if I don't speak off the cuff, I'll just read my notes here. In terms of, we already hit some of the history of Redwood Gardens Tenants Association. And as you remember, in 2020, we're dealing with the pandemic. I'm moving in, and everything sort of fell apart. Nobody wanted to meet together like this in a big room. And so we got with the help of Stefan, who kind of drew me in, and I've been volunteering and organizing and running some nonprofits, a lot of my, other than teaching work in my lifetime. So we quickly got onto Zoom, and we got a lot of technical information, and we trained our tenants to be able, and we got emails. We have more than, I think, about 80 of our tenants on our email list, and then we also post at regular places our minutes and our liaison committee. A lot of the organization that I know Strawberry Creek, and I know Stefan brought some of that to us. I won't repeat because we're very similar. Some of the differences might be particularly the desk that's paid for to watch it, and we've presented that to the owners, but they don't like that. They're really bottom line, as cheap as they can be. And although I have to say it's a wonderful place where we live, but we've had many, many problems. Not to say that, FPI was the biggest problem. The new owners, and then rehab, and then FPI, who gave out threatened legal notices if you just spoke to the property manager. And that was, to me, shocking. And so they said they could legally not have to talk to any of us tenants. That's how bad it was getting. Wow. And I'm going, wow, yeah. So we've been through 6 property managers in 5 years. Talk about, and we've been doing our monthly meetings and emailing and taking photos and sending in work orders and trying to I feel like Stefan and I and some of the other people there have been doing non-paid, what should have been paid work for the owners and management, seriously. We're in a unique position too of being on UC Berkeley campus, so a lot of the surrounding area, like the parking lots and the trees and the roadways and the things that are going on around us, we have to negotiate with UC Berkeley, and I swear I've done every single one of those. Management doesn't have the time or the ability, or they're not even there. So, seriously, have to say, I'm going off. Let's see. We follow bylaws, annually elected board, we have co-chair, secretary, treasurer, liaison committee, we have monthly meetings with management and the owners if they come. We have various wonderful standing committees. We have clubs for seniors, we have safety, birthdays, welcome, library, garden, goes on and on. We have ad hoc committees who do poetry and movies and lots of other events that are just great. We have the alternate meetings still on Zoom. There's been some call for having them in person, but it hasn't quite happened because after the pandemic came the bed bugs. Oh. No. So I don't know how that works, but it did. Let's see.
Excuse me,
Yes,
could you just say the name of your management company, because I think it's good.
it's John Stewart Company. Yeah. And this latest iteration is one of the most responsive and the fullest staffed. So that's the good news. And I'm not gonna say anything else.
Better than the options.
Let's see, that'll be in the small group. Let me start, just don't get me started. Let's see, we do belong to, we pay dues to NILHC, which is the National Low Income Housing Coalition. Yeah, great group. And when I've gone to the Lofty Zoom meetings, and you can all get in there, there's a website, lofty.network at saveourhomes.org. And this Michael Kane gets HUD officials in there, and they've actually worked on our behalf when we tell a personal story. I was amazed. I told a story about how we were asked by one John Stewart Company group, management group, to backdate and sign 2-year-old documents they were supposed to have done. And when I told the assistant director of HUD, who was on the Zoom call with Lofty, he went, "Oh, that's not right. I'm gonna deal with that." Okay. And we found that our supervising manager who had organized that was gone the next week. Now we don't know how or why, but hey.
Can I share something?
Yeah, I guess,
Could you
but
wait
it's
for
up
the
to
small
you.
group?
Betsy wants you to wait.
Could you
Thank
bring
you.
it to the small
I
group?
want to tell the group though, I mean, it's like so relevant.
Well,
I've got 3
if you
people
just let me
who are,
finish.
finish and
then
we'll get to
maybe
you
you'll
after
get it.
the
Can you
next.
hold on? Can you remember? Write a note? All right, great. So in terms of social issues, we have challenges in organizing and informing tenants. We have language barriers. We have a large population who speak no English, and they speak a variety of languages, mostly Spanish, Mandarin, Russian, and others. So, and I'm sort of used to that teaching in East Oakland schools. We have 24 languages at our school, no English only. So let's see. The other challenges are sometimes activity level, health, well-being, physical and mental abilities, sometimes education, sometimes vulnerability, fear of speaking out, fear of being seen or telling truth to the powers that be. We all feel somewhat vulnerable that way. But what we found is that we're greater in numbers. And if we speak out together and if we support each other, and I've had a great team with me, including starting with Stefan and now our whole elected team and all the ad hoc committees and special committees, we tend to support each other a lot. And we go in with an agenda so that we're not bickering in front of management or owners. We go in with what we want to say. It's really important to do that. So it takes organizing, it takes agreeing upon the agenda, discussing and talking out some of our ideas. And we use texting, we use personal meetings, we use emailing, we do all of that. We're very busy. And we are also chatterboxes. We do good gossip.
See that?
Oh,
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So that's kind of how we keep it together. And I'm about done. Do I have a minute? Let's see. We do our elections theoretically every year, but not everybody steps up to the plate. And we don't know how to solve that. A few of us would really like a break, but nobody's stepping up because they say, you're doing such a good job. Don't do a good job. Make mistakes, and then somebody else will do it. No, anyway. Let's see. And we have to also, we are also there with all the committees, like the welcoming. We can do better. But I like to spend a lot of time emailing out and posting. Like we put together, thanks to Stefan and some other people, and we edited safety emergency preparedness. And we just had a fire and a huge problem with 18. We have 20 relocated tenants from the sprinkler system because one unit had a fire in it. So we've had some emergencies. And we're working on that. But again, it's hard to get everybody behind us, and we don't have a lot of support from management. We're doing it all. Thank you.
Let me just add one thing to her, is that the emergency preparedness booklet that we have was fashioned after Strawberry Creek Lodge.
all right. So,
And you all used to be a center, but yeah, you'll pick it up. So I apologize for not having more space, but we kind of had an agreement of 2 hours of program time, and we have some food coming out. There's a break. Please take your bathroom breaks. You're all grown-ups, and please take care of that. Take care of yourself. Get water. But this event. My hope, if there's interest, we'll do it again, because there are, I think, 12 senior affordable buildings, not to mention other affordable buildings in Berkeley, and only some of them, these three, as far as I know, have a functioning tenants association, which, as much as we can complain, that's about as grassroots democracy as it gets, and it's precious and really hard to maintain. It takes. So I'm offering this to folks who live in affordable housing and want to support the seniors in one way or another, that we try this out. Maybe Harriet Tubman, which actually you tried to organize this kind of meeting 2-3 years ago. And I'm like, well, the time came to be, so maybe you can host us next, if people are interested. It's not in order to give you, do you want to applaud the concept?
I do. I'm here for it.
I mean, it ties in with so much of the work, the important stuff around renters' rights that we have here in Berkeley, affordable housing, which we need, and respect. Not just respect, but a sense of belonging for seniors, because some of us, we end up alone, and we need each other.
Yeah.
So there's some really important, our sponsors, the East Bay Housing Organizations, which has done training of many tenants in affordable housing, and also community advocates. We have a table full of EBHO staff, including, did Kathy have?
She's right behind you.
Oh, you are
Yeah.
ready. So Kathy Eberhardt is one of the folks on the EBHO board of directors. She's a community member, has also gone through the leadership training that EBHO offers. And we have, she's gonna give us the power speech about EBHO and what it's up to, and then we will,
Have questions.
oh God, there was no time for questions, but if you really, no, sir, we will do our best. I'm just saying, people have to leave, and we want to get them going, and we have breakout, we have
At the tables. They'll be.
45 minutes for questions at different tables with the people that are here. So, and
Well, they're
I'm
changing
gonna go
the
ahead.
microphones. I want you to know that
Uh,
Brent is
Norma,
legalized
thank you.
left.
May we consider?
We make the stuff, they steal it from us
Yeah.
and charge us back so much that we can't pay it.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you, Norma. And you should have your own table, and it will be full outside. So I apologize, but Kathy and Eberhardt, they are the folks who have publicized and given us this platform to hold this.
Yes, actually, she said everything I was gonna say. My name is Kathy Eberhardt. I'm on the board of directors for East Bay Housing Organization. Our main mission is to produce, protect, and preserve affordable housing. We do a lot of advocacy work and organizing for the East Bay and Concord and Concord and surrounding cities. I'm told that we're going to have breakout tables, and you can come and ask any questions about the work of what EBHO does, which will be tabled by Joey and Brazeda. Can you guys stand up so they'll see where you are? Our table will be back there, but we do have information on the table, on the table right here, and you can ask go to them directly and ask questions. You can find out about us at ebho.org. We do a newsletter. We have a study room. We have a calendar of events for the month of May, so that you can check into them at ebho.org and find out which events that are still going on for the rest of the month. And yes, come in during this breakout groups. Come and talk to EBHO and learn what we're all about, because we do advocate for affordable housing, attendance rights, and so forth. So thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you, Kathy.
I wanted to highlight one event in particular happening a week from today. The Great Panthers usually meets the fourth Wednesday and usually virtually. But next week we're having our regular speaker meeting on the third Wednesday to avoid Memorial Day, the 21st. And we're having it hybrid, both online on Zoom for those who prefer that, and in person at the South Berkeley Library, the Taria Hall Pittman branch of the Berkeley Library. And our topic will be on housing for all, social housing. Betsy's going to bring together some speakers on the topic that she had a well-received talk on last year. So about how we can decouple from the market and make it accessible. And go register at eastbaygreatpanthers.org to let us know if you'll be coming in person or virtually.
So
we'll be prepared.
I need to acknowledge 3 other people who are sponsoring a table, maybe 4. So first off, when we're serving, the wonderful people here are serving food, and please, thank them at your tables. And this is also a break time, and in about, I would say, at 3 o'clock, let's reconvene at the tables. You can go outside. But who is here besides EBHO to be convening a resource or a discussion? I know we have Pilar, who's working on the Community Advisory Committee for the city's disaster planning process, and Great Panthers is on that committee. Pilar, are you able to stay past 3, or do you need to leave?
I have to leave, but
please. And any flyers or resources to put on this table for takeaway would be great.
Hi everybody, my name is Pilar Zuniga. I work for the Ecology Center here in Berkeley, and I just want to shout out Great Panthers is working as a member organization, part of our community advisory committee. So Maria Soul and Betsy both sit in on our meetings. We meet monthly, and then I work with various community organizations in Berkeley around informing the planning department within the city as they developed 2 new elements for their general plan. One is an environmental justice element, and one is a safety element.
Is there a website where people can get more information?
Yes,
Or a meeting tomorrow?
So we'll be meeting tomorrow. Betsy and Maria Soul will be on, sitting in on that meeting, hopefully both of them. But just look forward to, they are gonna be kind of a pathway. We potentially will do some outreach with the Great Panthers and people who are aligned to get feedback and insight from you around these 2 elements. These are general plan elements, meaning they will affect the next 15 to 20 years of city planning.
For disaster preparedness.
For disaster
emergency.
preparedness, emergency, other safety issues, climate change, as well as just environmental issues, environmental justice, access to green space, air quality, and all of that. So look forward to more information. I will share a website also and put it up here at the table so people can learn more.
Thank you. In addition to EBHO, and it looks like we won't have a table from Pilar but you can ask Great Panthers about it. There is also Strawberry Creek Lodge Strawberry Creek Lodge. We have here the amazing and wonderful Joaquin Rivera, who's chair of the Strawberry Creek Lodge Tenants Association, who joined us. And would you be willing to be part of a table of people, if people want to come ask questions about Strawberry Creek? Do you want to say a few words? You're usually a man of few words. So. But I just want to thank you for the leadership you bring this place. And if you stand, hopefully people can see you. So look for a card that says Strawberry Creek Lodge for a table talk. Linda and Stefan want to be early. Linda wants to go outside. That's also available. Look for card DAR. If there's a topic you want to convene people on,